It's DD on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Kaylin Pyles here on the show. She's the owner of KP Fitness, coming to us all the way from Ohio. She's also an Instagram star. You can go and look at her page if you want to be inspired and get off eating those jelly donuts and go to the gym and start adapting a more healthy lifestyle. Kaylin, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me, for real.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what got you into fitness and what inspires you?
Yeah, no, for sure. So all my life, I just come from a background where my parents were like, hey, you need to get a scholarship in order to get to college. And so it's been really ingrained in my mind that hard work, work ethic is really going to get you somewhere. And so I played softball my whole entire life, and I ended up at Ohio University on a scholarship and played there all 4 years. And, I never actually lifted in high school or anything. It was just all sport related when it came to athleticism. But once I got into college at a Division I level, you're introduced to weightlifting. And, that's something we did every single day. And I sparked interest in it. And I picked my strength and conditioning coach's mind all the time. I was like, man, this is something I'm like really good at and I'm really interested in. And it kind of went from there. I actually ended up graduating with an integrated mathematics degree. At that point, honestly, you're so young, you don't know what to do. So you're just listening to everyone else. And, after I graduated, I did teach for 1 year high school math. But I reflected back on like, what am I really supposed to do? What am I really good at? And what do I really enjoy? And it just kind of filtered into me starting my own business and me doing what I'm naturally good at and what I'm like really happy doing. And that's, training other girls and helping them, open other avenues in their life through fitness. Like, yes, it's so awesome to see like the changes physically, but man, mentally and other aspects in their life, it's really awesome to see how fitness can be a platform for that.
What position did you play in softball?
I played outfield, so we switched rotations a lot in college, and so I floated between center and left field.
When you were starting the workouts in college, were they sort of the same workouts that you use now, but obviously they're more attuned to softball, but were they similar workouts?
So in college ball, we did a lot of like Olympic lifting actually. And so you had your standard like compound movements, deadlifts, squats, bench press, pull-ups, push-ups, your standard lifts. But now, after college, when I graduated, I was in a phase where I was like, what do I do now? I don't have anyone to tell me what to do. I'm living a different lifestyle. I'm not playing 4 games every single weekend. And so I really had to adjust that kind of my schedule and my routine when it came to working out. And so I started playing around with more like high endurance kind of lifts where we're getting our heart rate up while we're lifting, because I hate cardio. I don't like it. So, and that's kind of like how I create my workouts for my girls too. I want to make this an easy transition for them and a fun transition. No one likes to be stuck on the, treadmill for 45 minutes every single day. So yeah, my workouts have changed a lot, but my foundation was firm in these standard lifts, and it really helped create different kind of movements for the new exercises that I implement in my program.
I got to ask, how were you able to get a degree while you were being a student athlete? Also a degree in mathematics. Everyone that I know, all the baseball guys at my college, it was like, yeah, we'll do like a Parks and Rec major or whatever. It'll be super easy. But doing all that, how did you have any free time at all?
I didn't, actually. I was actually the lamest person in college. I went to the #1 party school in like the nation, I guess. But no, it's a full-time job. Honestly, in comparison, I would say that being a Division I athlete is like being in the military. Mm-hmm. Seriously. And then when you are having like a serious degree like mathematics, I woke up, worked out, did conditioning, took 4 classes, went to a 4-hour practice, went to lab, did my homework, and sleep. Yeah. It's like one of those pie charts where it's like pick 2 of the 3, and it's like a social life, sleep, good grades. Mm-hmm. And I picked good grades and sleep.
Yep.
I did not have a social life.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I can totally understand that. So when you were starting working out, did you find that your body adjusted really, really quickly, or did it sort of take a while?
Oh man, I was really frail when I like came into college. I was a stick. Like I had like these skinny arms. I could not do a push up, could not do a pull up. I was benching the bar barely.
How did you get recruited? If they looked at your physical, they're like, oh my God.
I was athletic
Yeah.
and I'm long.
Yeah.
I'm really long and I'm quick. So like the strength, I had like really great like abdominal strength, which is really good for hitting and offense. And then being quick in the outfield is good for laying out and whatnot. But when it came to strength, no. But now it's crazy, and that's the biggest thing about fitness is you have to understand that it takes a long time. This is not going to happen overnight, and so my story is, freshman year to senior year, huge difference. I couldn't do a push-up, I couldn't do a pull-up. By my senior year, I did 13 pull-ups unassisted all by myself. Like, it takes a long time, but as long as you're consistent, it's going to work.
How did you deal with, one of the biggest misconceptions that people don't understand before they start getting into serious weight training, especially to build muscle and to gain weight, you are going to need to eat a lot more than you had eaten even before you started weight training. How did you deal with that when you found out that you had to eat more? Was it easy for you, or was it hard for you to sort of eat that extra meal or have those extra calories?
No, it will never be hard for me. I love to eat so much, and I know that a lot of my girls come to me under eating, and when I, provide them with a meal plan or macronutrient guidance, and I tell them, hey, you need to eat more, they're like, oh my gosh, like, that's so much food, and I'm just like, I wish that I could eat that much, because I can. That's never been a problem for me. Nope, love food.
Yeah, I absolutely, I always have some people on there who are like, oh my God, it was really super hard for me. But I was like, really? It's eating more food. All those times when you really had to stop yourself and you're like, oh, I can't have any more. And you're like, nope, just keep having more. So how easily did nutrition come into you when it came to eating the right foods? Was that a hard adjustment, or had you always been following sort of a healthy diet?
Oh man, I'm just like your typical person. When I first started, I was so unaware of a lot of things. When I first started, I thought smoothies were healthy, and I was telling my girls this the other day, when I first started, and this was like in high school, and you don't know anything, and I would literally be like, okay, smoothies are healthy, I put ice cream in it, strawberries, bananas, like it was so bad, but I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm a quick learner, and I pick things up like a sponge. And when I got serious into it, honestly, college, I was a clean eater all throughout. Like when it came to dining hall food and whatnot, it's easy to pick out good options. There are clean options, especially nowadays. It's 2018. Like they're providing good options. So when I hear that as an excuse, it's not really an excuse.
I have an even worse story. When me and my friends were in high school, our baseball sort of group, we would go probably once or twice a week to this burger joint. We'd all have milkshakes, and I'd say, hey, it's got milk in it, so it's got to be at least a little bit healthy for you. So absolutely, everyone has that huge misconception that I think. How did you adjust to, everyone doesn't like to talk about the beginning gains that people usually have, which I'll explain to everyone. When you start working out, your body adjusts more rapidly, and you get better results when you start out because your body's not used to all those movements, or it's not used to the way, so it reacts better. But then over time, it slowly slows down, and if you do the same amount of work, you're going to get less results over time. Did you find that difficult, and how did you adjust to that?
Absolutely. And I try to express this to my girls as well. It's like once you get to a certain point, I honestly believe that it's much harder to maintain than it is to lose weight. With a lot of girls that I train, they get frustrated because they're not going anywhere. But I have to reinforce the fact that it's a even more proud moment, the fact that you're maintaining what you've already achieved. It's so easy to put things back on. They think that the hardest step is losing the weight, but honestly, it is maintaining what they've already achieved.
So after after you were done with college and you started teaching, how did that teaching help at all with I know the fit lifestyle is so time consuming, and it's also such determination and willpower. Did teaching help out with that? Because I know dealing with kids, or dealing with especially teenagers, must have been sort of hard on you. Did that help you when it came to having patience and determination when it came to other aspects in life?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I was actually 22, teaching 18-year-olds. I taught high school math. So Oh, the patience.
Some of those kids could have been freshmen when you were a senior in high school, almost. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And they didn't let me forget that either. Um, yeah, that was definitely a tough year, to say the least. And I give it to anyone watching that's a teacher, I give it to you. That is not a joke kind of
Hmm.
career. That is tough. Not only do you go and put in the work and you get off at 3, take home work, or you take home, all this work with you, and you honestly don't even get done until 10. Some of my clients that I train are actually teachers, and we're getting back into the school year right now, and they're expressing their frustration and their stress, and I'm just like, breathe. We're going to make it through. And honestly, fitness is a great outlet to, get away from the stress and whatnot.
Did you find difficulty having time to still work out and maintain a healthy lifestyle when you were teaching?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Especially because you're in a classroom all day. You're trying to stay hydrated, right? You're trying to drink like 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon a day, but you can't go to the bathroom in between classes because your kids are coming in, and who knows what they're gonna do, start fights or be immature, and obviously you have to eat, but it's really hard to get your meals in when you only have a lunch break, etc. And then again, you're getting off, but you have all this work you're taking home. But the most important thing that I've experienced, since then and even now running my own business is no matter how busy you are, it's so important to put yourself first and not to let put yourself on the back burner, because that's when things start piling up and you honestly get more stressed. You feel at first that you're going to be more stressed by taking an hour away and going to the gym, but having that hour to yourself really does help you. It really does.
Now, I was going to wait until later to ask this, but it was sort of already brought up. But KP Fitness, how did that get started? Was there a certain inspiration that you had behind doing that, or was it just after teaching you said, I got to do something else, and then that came to be? What's the backstory?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty crazy backstory. So I graduated from OU, Ohio University, and then I moved up to Michigan, and I worked like a 9 to 5 office job at Hillsdale College. Totally was not for me. I decided to pick up and move to North Carolina, lived in Wilmington, North Carolina for a good 6 months, and I was there by myself, and I really just had a lot of time to reflect to myself. I was kind of lost. So I got away. I had some time to myself, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm making these connections with other women, and what inspired me was to be the female role model that I just never had growing up.
So before you even got into like seriously heavy lifting in college, did you always sort of follow some fitness people on Instagram, or was that something that you hadn't really looked into?
Honestly, my journey kind of started on bodybuilding.com. I just feel like that was the thing right after college, is like, you don't know what to do, just go on bodybuilding.com. And so a lot of it was very similar to what I was doing in college, but there were a few that a few ideas that I picked up along the way that I converted into what I do now. But yeah, that's the way that I went right after college.
So when you were getting started with your business, what was the starting point? Did you have a jumping off point where you wanted to build upon, or did you just kind of just say to people that you were already working with, hey, I'm starting this company?
So I actually, my best friend he's currently my best friend. He reached out to me and said, hey, do a free month at my gym, all good, get whoever you want to come in. And I did, and I just told them hey, come in, train with me, this is free, let me show you what I have. And basically we just built upon that. And my point of turn actually was last year. I decided I was going to compete. And so I actually competed in the Arnold in my first competition, really just threw myself out there. And yeah, so a lot of people started following me while I was in prep, and I started just to get more engagement, more questions, more DMs, more messages. And then by the time, the Arnold was, that was the turning point, honestly. I think that people just really wanted to see how dedicated I was to helping others, and how dedicated I was to myself, because as a personal trainer, people are looking up to you and your dedication to yourself, because you're telling them to be dedicated to themselves. So you need to prove that year that for yourself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So what was your prep life like? A lot of people describe their first one as definitely unique, but was it a struggle for you at first, or were you easy to adapt to it? How was that like?
I'm a pretty disciplined person, very disciplined person. It was tough. Like, my social life was not there. I'm used to that since college, though, I guess. You know, man, it was tough, but it's mental. It's more mental than it is physical, for sure. If you are mentally strong, you can get through it, because there's a lot of times that you want to give in. Trust me. Whether it's your friends inviting you somewhere or someone putting pizza in front of your face and you're just like, cool.
So when you were, I always have this question that I like to ask too. So when on those days when obviously you'll have those days where you might feel like a zombie and you just don't want to go work out and you're just dragging across the floor, other than mental strength, what else? Do you use any other tips and tricks to sort of just drag yourself or get your mindset into like, hey, no matter how I feel, I'm going to continue to work out? Do you use any tricks?
Yeah, so no, totally been there, and I talk to my girls about this all the time. You're not always going to be motivated. My first thing is try to like schedule yourself. I'm a huge planner. I carry my planner everywhere. It's right here in front of me. And I try to schedule my workouts, and I'm a commitment kind of person. So once you commit, I just feel flaky if I don't show up, even if it's just a commitment to myself. So I try to write down my workouts for one. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast is, no matter how busy I am, I always try to make myself a priority. And my days are very, very long when it comes to my business. So I always make sure that I get my workout done immediately. First thing in the morning, no matter how busy I am, I just get it done. And, you know, even when I'm struggling super, like motivation just so low, the least I can do is just get on the Stairmaster and just walk. And if I'm having a terrible day, then I'll do that minimum. And that's just what I do.
And I got to ask, I love asking people when they first put that tanner on or that bronzer on, did you kind of freak out? Because a lot of people were like, oh my God, I didn't know I was this defined, or I didn't know I had there's muscles around here that I didn't even know I had. Was that just a shock for you just when you first looked around and you're like, oh my God?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was so weird. I was 50 shades darker. It was crazy. And honestly, believe it or not, it actually kind of takes away from your muscles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was way more defined when I was pale. Maybe it's because you can see all the veins when you're pale. But yeah, man, obviously makes you look very thin because you're so dark. But yeah, that was goofy because obviously I went to the Arnold. I didn't make first call outs, which is fine, whatever. But I went back to the Arnold the next day and I was just like, orange, and everyone was probably just looking at me like, who is this girl?
That's awesome. So I got to ask, because I have a lot of up-and-coming bands on the show, and I like to talk to them about the thrill of performing live, and they like to describe it as unlike a drug of any other thing that you could ever take. But like, I think that also applies to fitness. When you're at those shows, what is that feeling like stepping on stage and showing off, you know, that hard work that you've worked months for, just prepping down, dieting, putting yourself through hell, basically? What is that like to finally step on stage and be able to just show that off?
It felt amazing after, but during, you like black out. You black out, you don't know what's going on, and the next thing you know, you walked off stage, I just had no idea what I did. It's such a scary feeling. I know I put in the work, and I know I worked hard, but it's just exposing yourself to that many people, and that's what it was for me. So when I got up on stage, I was like, deer in headlights. I wish I had a better answer, but I don't. I was like, is this really happening? And then, like, all I remember is they gave me cookies at the end.
So how do you convince yourself? Because, I mean, a lot of people can be very shy, but how were you able to psych yourself up to say, like, hey, I'm going to go out half naked in front of all these people and, like, show? Was that a big thing? And you were like, did you really have to psych yourself up for it?
Honestly, no. I know I put in the work. I know that I followed my nutrition to a key. I know that I didn't have a day off from January until January, March, the end of March. I did not have a single day off, and I know I put in the work. So at that point, I was just like, let's do it. Seriously.
I only asked that question because I had a similar. We had like a man pageant in high school my senior year where it was like a reverse of the ladies pageant where we did that, where guys would like show off talents or whatever. And for my talent, we did a comedy sketch where, if you know that Chris Farley SNL where he plays the Chippendales dancer.
Okay,
where
I
him and
haven't
Patrick.
seen that.
So like they basically stripped down to like just the Chippendales thing where they had the tuxedo tie and then they just have the pants. So I did that with a really overweight friend of mine, and he was the Chris Farley type of guy. So yeah, I know what that means, like to go in front of a lot of people and do that. So it does take a lot of courage. But what was your meal afterwards? Because most people don't realize afterwards you guys just usually like to have one good meal. What did you have to eat?
Oh my gosh. I looked like I was pregnant for the next 3 days. I actually had a show later, but I did not care. That night, I was just like so ready, and I'm like such a dessert person. But we went to a place in Columbus called Melt Bar and Grill, and if anyone visits Columbus, you need to go there. It's so good. And I just had a Cleveland cheesesteak, and it was so good. And then I make this thing called brownie truffle, and it's two boxes of brownies, Cool Whip, Heath Bar crumbles, and chocolate mousse, like all layered. I think I had half of the bowl. I was in a coma. Yeah. It was so good.
Absolutely. So I love to ask this question as well. I get a lot of good answers, and I find that it's very informative. When you're competing, people don't realize that you've kind of manipulated your body to look as good as it can look. I mean, you've deprived it a little bit, and you've also worked out a lot to get it to look like that. But that look cannot last. I mean, it'll last for maybe a week at the most afterwards. And how did you deal with that mentally? Did you know ahead of time that basically, like, I'm not going to look this good forever? And even if you did, how did you deal with the fact knowing that you were going to gain weight and you were not going to look that good for that long of a time?
Honestly, that was really hard, and it is hard for all of us, on a serious note. And I'm just going to say it for all of us because I know this is exactly how we feel is at that moment, right before you get the spray tan on, you're thinking, I don't even look that good. I don't look good. I didn't do, I don't stack up. And then now looking back, I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, holy, like, I looked so good. But you were our own worst critic. At that moment, I literally thought I looked terrible. And you don't really realize it in the moment. But afterwards, I knew that we would have to reverse diet, and I did for a little while. But summer turned into a lot of business, honestly. So right after my show turned into a lot of like spotlight on my business. Like I said, right after my competition, I just got a flood of DMs and messages and emails and whatnot. And so that summer I had this past summer I had a ton of networking things, lunches, dinners, outings and whatnot. And yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. Yeah, pretty busy summer, yes. It sounds like. So when you're dealing with people and potential clients, what would you say is the biggest excuse you usually get from people as to why they don't want to, or why they're not willing to get a more active and healthy lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. I could probably think of two, and I know they sound very cliche, but the first one is time. Mm-hmm. With that, I always try, like, the girls that I do work with have probably the most hectic schedules I've ever seen. And I really admire them a lot because their dedication just really, and they probably don't even know this, it inspires me because their schedules are crazy. I work with some nurses who work 12-hour shifts, and they'll get off and then they'll come to me at 6 a.m. the next morning, and I'm just like in awe. Like, they're amazing. I have quite a few women who are mothers, full-time mothers, and we all know that's a full-time job, who make the same commitment. And, teachers, like I already described, like earlier in the podcast, their schedules are absolutely crazy. So that's the number one excuse that I hear a lot. I even work with college girls who are, taking classes, and they're also working. And when it comes to time, it comes to, is this a priority? Honestly, is your fitness and your goals, your health a priority? Because everyone has time. It's just, you need to make room for it, and you need to put away the other things that aren't very important. And then the other thing is money, which honestly goes hand in hand. It's you need to take a look at what you're spending your money on. Probably more than likely you're going out to eat, which adds up, or you're a wine member, which adds up, or you're just doing a lot of things that are probably unhealthy for you that you could be investing in your health. And that's the other thing that I hear a lot.
So unfortunately, there's still this stereotype that still exists among some women. I mean, it has gotten better, I think, especially the last 5 years with Instagram taking off and a lot of fit personalities really being able to reach out to a lot of people. But there's still this belief among some women where if they touch one weight, they're just going to Hulk out and turn into The Rock overnight. Did you ever have that sort of fear when you were first starting out? And then if you hear that from clients, what do you usually say to them?
I did not. I put my trust in my strength and conditioning coach in college. He said, this is how it is, and I went with it. And that's what I hope my girls come to me when I tell them, this is what I'm going to give you nutritionally, and this is what I'm going to give you physically with your workouts. If you do them, then everything's going to be fine. It is a common fear, though. And let me tell you, it will happen. If you only do workouts and you don't have the nutrition, you have to have both. You have to have the workouts in line with your nutrition. If you're working out and you're lifting heavy and then you're eating pizza, yes, absolutely, you're going to bulk up. No, yeah, that's like a no-brainer. But if you're doing what I tell you to do in the weight room, we're picking up heavy weights, but we're eating clean and we're eating smart, then it's going to turn into lean muscle mass, which is what we're after.
One of the things that people don't like to talk about with personal training too is that you aren't in complete control of your clients. So they can work out with you, they can do all the things right, but then they might slip up a couple of meals, or they might just not really follow you nutrition wise, and then they could get mad at you then because then they think that you're not training them hard enough to get to their goal when they're actually the one that isn't following the nutrition that you set for them. Can that be frustrating at times, and how do you deal with stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I tell my girls right off the bat is we need open communication, and I'm not going to be judgmental because I have a coach. And when I mess up, I just tell him, I'm like, hey, Dylan, I ate 12 pizzas this weekend. Sorry. And that way he doesn't feel like he's at fault, like he's doing something wrong with my programming or my nutrition. And I want my girls to be honest, open and honest with me too. And that's where I have that open communication with them is like, if you mess up, let me know so that I don't feel like I did something wrong, and then you don't get frustrated at me, that I told you something wrong when it was actually you going, out to the bar all weekend drinking.
Is it hard also because it seems like, especially in this day and age, people expect quick fixes. They expect everything to get done immediately. They expect to maybe take one pill and then they lose all the weight. Is it hard to convince people that it is going to be very time consuming and it is a long process in order to adapt a more healthy lifestyle?
Actually, I think like in the beginning when fitness became started to become like mainstream, it was really hard to convince. But honestly, every time, I have a consult with a new client and we discuss that, a lot of them are like, I know. And it's really awesome to see that people are realizing that now. I don't really see a big problem, especially with the girls that contact me. I think that by me showing my journey, I've been lifting and working out probably on my 7th year now. And I think by showing my journey and it being so long, a lot of people who I do come in contact with realize that.
One of the things that I found out, especially from starting this podcast, was that it's not like a business, but it's my own podcast, that I found that I'm thinking about it constantly just because it's mine, and I'm having a hard time sometimes getting it off my mind. With your own business, I can imagine it's sort of a similar thing, kind of like you're always thinking about it, you're always thinking of ways to improve it. How are you able to separate a good work-life balance for yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was actually talking to my best friend about this, and we honestly, so my best friend is the owner of the gym that I rent space from, and he rents space out to other trainers, and so we just have an amazing community. One of the biggest goals in my life growing up, because I didn't have a social life in college, and I didn't really have a social life 2 years after college, because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so one of our biggest goals where I train at is to make a community, not only with my girls, but as trainers together. And so we have like game night at my house on Wednesdays, and we always try to like interact and get our minds off of business because it's constantly on our mind. And even when we get together, we do talk about business, but at least we're getting out of the gym and we're getting out away and we're doing other things. So we really do. We went to Cedar Point last weekend. We're going to see Kevin Hart tonight as a group. Yeah, I'm so excited. And so we really do make a big effort. And I think that's one of like the best things that a lot of like my clients see and, other people see is that, man, we really just make fitness like enjoyable because like it's a community. We're fun. We're very serious when we need to be serious, but we make it light as well.
Now, obviously, the obesity rates are increasing, and they're slowly increasing, and I think it'll start to get worse and worse. But how, as personal trainers, are you guys coming up with ways to sort of attract more people to a more healthy lifestyle? Or are there certain techniques that you guys are going to try to use to attract more people? Because once people get more obese, I mean, there might reach a point where it's just a little too late. Are there ways that you guys are working on to help curve that?
So for me personally, I have my own kind of niche that I work with. I don't necessarily work with people that are obese, but I do know other trainers that do work with people that are obese. And I think it's important for trainers to have a niche, to have a certain clientele that they work with, because you can't fix everyone. It's just too broad. You don't hold that much information in your head. You need to zero down into what you are good at, and that way you can maximize what you're good at. And so for me personally, the way that I attract my girls is I'm just raw. I'm just raw with them. I'm very real in what I say and what I do. And I think that that's what brings them to me. They see how consistent I am with my fitness regimen, and they want to be right there with me, and they want to be in line with me and, follow what I'm doing and be a part of my circle and get those positive vibes circulating and let that filter into their lives, their separate lives.
All right, so now we go to our audience favorite part of the podcast, the questionnaire that we like to ask at the end, sort of a getting to know you. So this will be around, I think, close to a dozen or so questions, but they're pretty simple questions, and we'll see kind of, what her answers tend to be. So for our first question, what is your go-to workout song?
Oh, man. This always changes. I actually, since I have been lifting for quite some time, I actually don't even need pump-up songs anymore. I actually listen to kind of more slow songs. I know Maroon 5 just came out with a song called Wait, the remix. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to song right now. I probably won't pump up anyone except for me. I love it. I love it so much.
I know. I personally have to do the old school Metallica and stuff like that, even though I've worked out almost just as long, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, I gotta wait for the beat to drop and everything to get a good lift in. But now, if you could train with any celebrity on the planet, who would it be?
The Rock, heads down.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's by far our most popular answer. Yeah. Now, if you could train a celebrity, who would it be?
If I could train a celebrity, oh, that's tough. I love, okay, that's a toss-up. I love Ellen DeGeneres and I love Chelsea Handler because they're funny. Now, would they pay attention to me?
That's what I was going to say.
Said?
Yep.
Probably not.
You would be laughing the entire workout. Yeah, you wouldn't get anything done.
We'd be laughing a lot. So that's
you get a good ab workout. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Ab workout.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So what was the last TV show that you binge watched?
Oh my gosh, I'm the worst. Don't ask me that question. I don't watch TV. I don't have time. Oh man, let me think hard. I try to watch a few episodes of Game of Thrones recently because I know the new season's coming out, but honestly, I'm not doing well at keeping up. Don't judge me.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. Hey, you're running your own business. I completely understand. So what is one thing that you need in your fridge at all times?
Ooh, okay. I don't know if you have a Kroger where you are. Do you have a Kroger? Okay, perfect. So this milk is called Carb Master milk, and it's Kroger brand only. And so it's lactose free. I'm actually lactose intolerant, so it's awesome. And it tastes like a vanilla milkshake. So I put that in my oatmeal every day. It's so good. And it has 11 grams of protein.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So now if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Superpower. Probably to be able to transport myself wherever I want, immediately.
Yep. Yeah, that would work. Yeah. What is one habit you wish you could break?
Habit I wish I could break? Is being stressed a habit?
Yeah, for a lot of people, yes, it can be. So yes, I'll allow that one. Yeah. So now, if you could have a conversation or a dinner with any historical figure of all time, who would it be?
Historical figure. So this means they have to be dead?
Well, they could still be alive too, or they can or they can be dead. Either one.
Probably Elon Musk, because he's very successful, and I would love to pick his brain.
Did you watch his Joe Rogan podcast?
I saw memes about it.
Oh, I watched it all live because I was about to go to bed, but then I saw like, oh my God, Joe Rogan's live with Elon Musk, so I stayed up till like 2 a.m. watching the thing because they did it like super late. But yeah, it was definitely totally worth it. It was a great one. So now, what is your favorite fashion trend of all time and least favorite fashion trend of all time?
Ooh, well, my favorite is athleisure because you don't have to try hard. And when I do try to dress up, it just looks so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so bad. I just look so much better in just yoga pants and like a tank top. Look, I try to dress up for the podcast. It's a tank top. I can't.
Hey, it works.
My least favorite though that I see on other people is when they try to bring back like the schoolgirl, like plaid, like everything. I don't like that.
Uggs has got to be mine for sure. I mean, it's just like, come on, people. So, but I was going to ask this. I totally forgot, but I thank you for bringing it up. When it comes down, I mean, obviously when you get fit, when you put on muscle, it becomes harder for you to buy clothes. How did you deal with that? And I mean, I know it's still a current struggle. Are there any techniques that you use in order to, I mean, like you said, like if you have really big, like, especially like shoulders or traps, then it's hard to wear dresses. How do you compensate for that?
Yeah. So spaghetti straps don't look good on me. I just have very broad shoulders. This is like a thicker strap, but when they're like super skinny, it makes me look like a linebacker a little bit. So like the scoop neck and like higher neck looks good, but spaghetti strap not. And a lot of times my girls, even I struggle with is we have more muscular thighs and then tinier waist.
Yes.
I hope one day someone figures that out. As far as like jeans or skirts or anything, it needs to be figured out. Someone needs to figure it out.
This is the third time I'm going to say this on this podcast. If anyone in the audience out there has an idea on how to like get women's athletic wear or normal wear, that is $1 billion idea in the making. So figure that out, and you'll become the next super big hit. And then I always ask too, when I started working out and started getting bigger and stronger, sort of after I got injured and then going into college, I found that more people were annoyingly asking me like, hey Ryan, you want to come over and help me move furniture? I'm moving my house. Or hey Ryan, you want to open up this pickle jar? Have you found that to be similar with people and friends all of a sudden asking you now to do more like heavy lifting stuff for them?
Honestly, no. I am very fortunate that I work at a gym, so I make all the men come over and help me. But I do. I'm very guilty. I live on the 3rd floor, but I'm very guilty of taking all the groceries all the way my arms and just making a one trip. And I buy a lot of groceries because the girls gotta eat. And
there's always that myth too that eating healthy can be very, very expensive, and that isn't true. I mean, it can be for some people, but it usually isn't. What are some tips that you use in order to, especially if you're on a thin budget, in order to get healthier foods?
Oh my gosh, I'm like the boss at this. I'm the laziest cooker ever, if that's even a word. And then 2, like, it's so easy to buy groceries for cheap. I eat a ton of eggs. Walmart sells eggs by the 60, like literally you can buy a container of 60 eggs for like $3. Probably not the best, but hey, it's protein. I buy Tyson frozen diced chicken because I don't want to bake my chicken. So my biggest thing is I meal prep my meat, and then I don't meal prep anything else. When it comes to veggies, I just eat them raw, so I don't have to cook it. Fruit, obviously, just eat it raw. And when it comes to carbs, my only carbs are rice, which is 90-second rice. So you just pop it in the microwave. And then toast. I'm very simple. I'm probably the most boring. I'm in routine, and that's the way I like it. And I don't hate on anyone that's like super creative, Betty Crocker, because good for you. I wish I was like you, but I'm not.
It works. Now, I was going to ask you, one of the questions I have is if you could teach one subject in school, what would it be? But I was like, oh, well, we already got that answered. So who is your fitness icon?
Fitness icon. Honestly, okay, yeah. So fitness icon, she lives in Australia. Her name's Sarah's Day. And she basically does everything, I found her after I started my business. But once I found her, I was like, man, this is really what I'm going towards for my business. It's her personality. She's so real, and she's the kindest, sweetest, like, most authentic person ever.
How much do you think social media has helped you, though, too, in order to maintain that mindset and motivation, knowing that there are a lot of people going through what you're going through when it comes to the working out and the business? Does it really help when you get all those compliments and you know that there are people that support you?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've seen since I've started my business is the support. Honestly, I before I met my amazing circle of friends that I have now, it's crazy how much nicer. I know we get a lot of like lash back on how mean people can be on the internet. But honestly, with the way that I've just structured my Instagram and my social media, I actually get a lot of positive people, a lot of people that are building you up. When I was on prep, a lot of strangers reached out to me and were just super like nice and like uplifting, and it was really awesome. And I still continue to have like really, I'm yet to have someone say something rude.
Yeah.
So please, no one start that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, and plus for every rude one, there's always 100 nice ones, is what people don't also like to talk about. But what is one thing that you wish you knew at 18?
Oh man. At 18, I wish I knew that you can't please everyone. I used to be a huge people pleaser, and I learned the hard way that that's just not going to work.
What item would you die to get your hands on if it went up for auction?
Huh. I've never thought about that one. That's a good one. Something for auction. Probably something that G-Eazy owned. I'm a big G-Eazy fan. I don't even know. Whatever he was like auctioning, I would probably go after it.
Yeah, I saw him in concert in college. Yeah, it was pretty good. So now, what are you most excited about fitness-wise these days? What excites you the most?
What excites me the most, honestly, is, what excites me the most is just like the positivity that's coming around about it. Just like seeing more people being uplifted by it, seeing more people using it as a platform to open up different avenues in their life. Because once you are committed and you're consistent with your fitness routine, it just opens up so many other things in your life, whether it's like your relationships, you build that confidence in the gym, and now you're taking it outside of the gym, and you're doing better in your work performance at your job, or you're having better relationships with your boyfriend or girlfriend or your friends or whatnot. And that's what I love to see on social media and with my in-person clients when they tell me things, and that's what I love to see the most.
Okay, so we have 3 questions left on the questionnaire now. What is one thing people who follow you on Instagram would be surprised to know about you when they meet you in person?
I am 5'9", everyone.
Wow.
Everyone thinks that I'm like 5'3" or 5'4". I'm 5'9". I'm tall.
Okay,
Yeah.
that adds on one extra question because I'm 6'2". How did you find it? I mean, everyone knows that tall people, it's a little bit harder of a time to put on muscle and putting on weight. Did you find that especially more difficult for you being 5'9", which for a girl is like 6'2" for a guy? So.
No, honestly, again, as long as you're consistent and you have like the right program with the right nutrition, it's going to happen. But again, it's consistency and it's understanding it takes time.
All right. Now, what is your spirit animal?
Oh, should I show you them? They've been dying to come in here. My spirit animal are my kittens.
Your kittens? Yeah, you can bring them on, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so excited. I couldn't bring, they would have like trampled the
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Come here. Oh, we're going to say hello to everyone. She's like, what?
Oh, she's cute. What's her name?
This is spirit animal. This is Lucy.
She has
Say hello.
those blue eyes are so amazing. You two both have the same eyes.
I know. They're my angels. They're my everything. They're my spirit animal. 100%.
So now, lastly, this is the most important question we could ever ask. What is your favorite ice cream?
Ooh. Man, have you ever had Grater's ice cream?
No.
Okay, maybe it's an Ohio thing. I'm not sure. But they have mint chocolate chip, and the chocolate chunks this big. I kid you not. They're like huge. And I'm more of like a chewing person than like a liquid person, if that makes sense. I like to chew my food.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Cookie dough blizzards for me at DQ, or just cookie dough shakes wherever they have. Oh my god, yeah, I limit myself to like once a month just because I'm trying to not just gain 50 pounds in a month. But yeah, absolutely. So lastly now, before we wrap it up here, where can people find you? I mean, I know they can follow you on Instagram. I'll leave a link down to all of your stuff down below, but you also have a website, or where else can people find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram 100% is my number one. So that's just Kaylin Pyles on Instagram. And then my website is super easy. It's kaylinpyles.com. And my email, if you want to reach out to me about training, is just kaylinpylesfitness@gmail.com.
All right, I'll leave the links down to that stuff. And now I like to ask these final 2 questions before we wrap it up. I ask every guest, if someone were to walk up to you on the street and then just say like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. I want to start looking like that. I want to start to adapt a more healthy and fit lifestyle." What would be the best piece of advice for you to give them in order for them to be successful in slowly adapting that lifestyle? I mean, you don't want to push them too far.
Honestly, 100% is find a coach. Find someone that knows what they're talking about, but also find someone that you vibe with, because you need to enjoy your coach and your coach needs to enjoy you.
Obviously, there can be a lot of stereotypes, especially about the gym and working out. What would you say is the biggest stereotype that people have about people that are in that fit and healthy lifestyle? And I mean, obviously, how do you guys sort of try to promote a more a different version of what they say?
The number one stereotype I get is narcissistic, because you care about yourself. But that's not the case, and that's what I hope to show and prove to everyone is it's more of a community to me. I want to like show that you can build a healthy lifestyle for yourself, but you can also inspire others. You can interact with others, and you can build each other up.
Absolutely. And again, I can't thank you enough for coming on. We have Kaylin Pyles here, owner of KP Fitness. I highly recommend if you're interested in any weight loss, or if you're female and interested in weight loss, I definitely give a contact to her, and she could probably help you out. And I mean, like I said, all the links down below, and go follow her on Instagram even if you don't need any fitness help. I mean, seeing her in her workouts, it's going to be inspiring for you. It's going to make you want to just go to the gym yourself. I mean, I immediately wanted to do about 10,000 crunches last night when I was scrolling through her Instagram looking at a couple of photos. So she's a huge inspiration, and honestly, we wish you nothing but the best. And I love what you're doing, helping inspire people and helping them lose weight. I mean, it's such a key thing that people need to be focused on now with all the health crisis that's going on. So I can't thank you enough. And is there anyone else that you'd maybe like to plug before you leave the show?
Honestly, I love all my clients. I love my best friends. You guys know who you are. Seriously, thank you for believing in me and, sticking with me through the ups and downs. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely. So like I said, Kaylin Pyles, go check her out. And again, we thank her for coming on. And if you need anything promotion-wise, you need any new programs that you got released, let us know. We'll be happy to announce them to everyone on here. And this is DD on the Spot. Ryan Johnson signing out. Have a great day, everyone.